Some funny facts have come up about this Kremlin character. Sergey, when was the last time you were in the US anyway?
In the US? Well, before the war. Before the war, before the sanctions.
Special military. Now it's a war, right? But that's not the point.
There's Peskov sitting across from me, my press secretary. Sometimes he spouts such nonsense. I watch him on TV myself and think, what is he even talking about? Who told him to say that?
Yet they're all out of their minds over there. Well, actually, if we talk about the biography, or more precisely about the ancestors of the man with the talking mustache, Putin, and about Peskov, all of that was classified as top secret for a long time. And now, some very interesting details about Peskov are coming to light. It turns out Peskov comes from a family of spies with a Bolshevik past. In Peskov's family tree, the Communist Party and the KGB are intertwined. His ancestors were respected under Lenin, Stalin, and Brezhnev. Now it makes sense. The puzzle pieces fit together once again. Of course, the whole Peskov family often spends time or lives in the West. His daughter is there and all that, but, well, that's not important.
We don't quite understand yet, but really, we patiently and steadily continue working in order to reach some kind of mutual understanding, taking our time as we go.
Yes, and what's symbolic is that this inadequate person is Putin's press secretary. So, when it comes to promoting their boss, they're having one PR failure after another in the Kremlin. Here's a specific case from this week.
Red Square is closed off. A scene that unfolded right by the Kremlin walls accidentally made it on air.
And let me just point out, this disgrace definitely wasn't shown on Russian state TV. But I'll show it to you.
Vladimir Putin didn't go to the front lines and instead, on National Unity Day, met with a group of school children. This time, the Kremlin's master didn't kiss a boy on the stomach, but he couldn't hold back on the compliments.
Father, where are you going, Bakrusin?
Yeah, it's that typical polished, I'd even say creamy picture, polished by the Kremlin. But then unexpectedly, things don't go according to plan.
Putin was about to leave, but then the initiator of the war had to hear a harsh truth, one that most likely isn't reported to him.
My uncle is at the front right now. He was wounded in the arm. He was in the hospital. They're not treating him at all, and now they're sending him on a mission.
What do you think will happen to the girl's uncle now?
You know, I think that the girl's uncle will be sent back to die in Ukraine no matter what. But that's far from the main disgrace, not Putin's biggest failure of the week.
I just want to say, are you idiots or what?
Well, look who's talking. This week, Putin once again started threatening the states with his petrol missiles, Poseidons, and other so-called nuts.
We are conducting another training exercise for our strategic forces and deterrence. We will practice the actions of officials in managing the use of nuclear weapons, including live launches of ballistic missiles.
Well, Trump is clearly tired of listening to this, so he launches, attention, his own intercontinental ballistic missile into the sky. The Kremlin needs to stop barking.
Look at how it flew, and most importantly, where it went. The US launched a missile after Putin's nuclear threats. There it is, a real beauty, the Minuteman III.
Just want to point out that while Putin is telling fairy tales about his Burevestniks and Poseidons, Trump actually has about 500 of these nuclear missiles. And they can reach Moscow very quickly. Yes, in the Kremlin, they immediately soiled their pants, but at first they tried to act tough. So, they called a Security Council meeting. That's the one where they didn't invite Lavrov. And they started trying to scare Trump again, acting all tough. This part is honestly hilarious.
Preparation for full-scale nuclear tests to begin immediately.
I'm telling you, that's powerful, really powerful. Then Putin also tried to puff up his cheeks, to look tough. Well, since he's the commander-in-chief and all. About
the possible beginning of initial work to prepare for nuclear weapons testing.
I'm telling you, that's it. He said it like it was final. But seriously, you understand Putin,
A coward, truly a coward, and a coward.
Exactly. He immediately switched to his bunker mode. And who has to take the heat? This time, do you know who had to humiliate themselves in front of Trump? That's right, Peskov. It's classic. The Kremlin started making excuses after the Russian dictator Putin ordered the resumption of nuclear tests. Apparently, there wasn't even any talk about resuming the tests. It was about something else, said Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. So why else did Putin get so scared, really? Once again, something happened in the sky over Moscow. For the second time in 2 weeks, a fireball was spotted. They say it was a meteorite again. But who really knows? Maybe it was Trump's doing after all. I
was trying to escape. We managed something about you, you damn wanderer boredom. The stars died. Who
were you?
I don't know. Looks like a comet or something.
Yeah.
But in any case, Peskov tried to cover for Putin in front of Trump somehow. But no, it didn't work out for him. Trump is already openly saying that Putin wants to go to war, and he doesn't like that attention. Russians don't want to stop. This is the main disagreement that prevented the summit with Putin from happening. And these are no longer just words. The fact is, Trump, Erdogan, and the president of Azerbaijan, Aliyev, have decided to take action against Putin, not just talk. I'll tell you exactly how in a moment.
A historic meeting at the White House. The leaders of Central Asia were received in the US to highlight their importance in the current global agenda. And by the end of the day, billion-dollar deals were signed with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan.
So let's look at this in more detail. So US President Donald Trump is meeting at the White House with the leaders of 5 Central Asian countries. These are Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan.
It is a great honor for me to be with these incredible leaders. These are highly respected people. And there are no games here. They don't play games, I want to tell you that. And
you understand, not so long ago, these countries were completely under the Kremlin's influence. But now that's over. Moscow, goodbye.
It was reported that Trump wants to seriously enter a market that is already tired of Moscow. And if both the US and China get seriously involved here, then there is no point in cooperating with the Kremlin's struggling economy. Let them get out of their crisis on their own if they don't appreciate the importance of Central Asia.
Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov turned out to come from a spy family with a Bolshevik past, according to the publication Proект. Despite being the only Kremlin official who is always in the public eye, this has not prevented him from keeping his origins in the very elite of Soviet society a secret for decades. In Peskov's family tree, the Communist Party and the KGB are intertwined. His ancestors were held in high esteem under Lenin, Stalin, and Brezhnev, the publication notes. In Peskov's official biography published by the TASS agency, there is not a single word about his mother. It only states that he was born into the family of Soviet and Russian diplomat Sergei Peskov. Peskov's mother may have served in the security services. The Peskov family lived in a government building on Presnya. Their neighbors were KGB and foreign trade employees. The father of the Russian president's press secretary, Sergei Peskov, most likely worked in intelligence. Originally from Mukachevo, Ukraine, he graduated from the Institute of Asian and African Countries and spent many years working in the Middle East under the cover of friendship societies and solidarity committees with countries of people's democracy. This was a standard cover for Soviet intelligence officers during the Cold War. 2 marriages helped the president's press secretary advance in his career. His first wife was Anastasia, the granddaughter of Stalin's Marshal Semyon Budyonny. The second marriage played an important role in Peskov's career. He married Ekaterina, the daughter of Russian diplomat Vladimir Solotsinsky. It was Solotsinsky who, in 1999, recommended Peskov as a translator during Boris Yeltsin's visit to Turkey. After that, he was transferred to the Kremlin. This is how Peskov became the second person after Alexei Gromov responsible for Putin's media image in the Kremlin.
The main liar and hypocrite of all Russia.
Let us remind you that throughout its entire history, Russia has never attacked anyone.
The mouthpiece for the thoughts and intentions of the completely deranged bunker-dwelling madman.
And as Putin said yesterday, one of the objectives was the demilitarization of Ukraine. In fact, this objective has largely been achieved.
The talking mouth of Putin, whom not even Putin himself believes.
There's Peskov sitting across from me, my press secretary. Sometimes he spouts such nonsense I myself watch. On TV, I think, what is he talking about? Who told him to say that?
When his master loosens the leash, he's a charming liberal, not without self-irony.
Good evening, hello. It showed?
But as soon as the Kremlin wind blows in a different direction, the mustachioed weather vane instantly turns into a staunch supporter of dictatorship and a die-hard patriot.
US tanks are driving on the territory of the Russian Federation. They're not just driving around, they go for a while and then they burn because we destroy them. And we will keep destroying them.
A man who built his career on lies and turned hypocrisy and deceit into the Kremlin's calling card.
What's the name of the Ukrainian general?
I think it's hostage.
Hostage. He needs to rest. Overworked.
However, the ability to lie, adapt, and be hypocritical are not Peskov's only trump cards. the mustachioed puppet of the bunker paved his way to Putin's ear and heart through the bedroom, or rather, through the beds of several influential and high-status women.
As for the story with the watch, well, I couldn't not wear my wife's gift to our wedding. It's hardly likely that a gift from a wife to her husband or from a husband to his wife could have anything to do with anti-corruption activities.
Especially, not a single word from her can be trusted. Whether she's talking about war, politics, the economy, or family. A person who has obediently accepted the role of court jester and who gladly plays the part of Putin's puppet. Despite the fact that Peskov is a hereditary diplomat, his father started out as a Soviet and later a Russian ambassador responsible for relations with Arab countries. Peskov paved his way into big politics as a kept man.
How could I be so stupid? How did I not realize right away that Zhenya is a gigolo? I'm a gigolo?
Peskov's first wife, Anastasia Budyonaya, is the granddaughter of that very same mustachioed and bloody Soviet marshal, Semyon Budyonny. It was precisely through his relationship with Anastasia that the future press secretary of Putler began his ascent to the Kremlin Olympus.
When he became a member of the family of that bloody marshal, he naturally took advantage of all their connections.
Family ties, as well as knowledge of several foreign languages, helped the mustachioed liar get a job at the Soviet Foreign Ministry. A few years later, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Budyonny name lost its former luster. And the gigolo diplomat Peskov began looking for new bedroom opportunities. And he found them.
You want a great but pure love.
Well, who doesn't want that?
In '94, he married 18-year-old Ekaterina Solotsinskaya, the daughter of influential Russian diplomat Vladimir Solotsinsky.
Then come to the hayloft when it gets dark.
By the time of the wedding, the romance between Dima and Ekaterina had already been going on for several years. The future tainted Putin clan was not bothered by the mistress's underage status, nor by the official wife, nor by their still very young son.
He began actively pursuing her when he was just 14 years old, at a very young age, while his wife, who at that particular time was Budyonny's granddaughter, was already pregnant with their son.
Many people today know Peskov's son well. He inherited his father's ability to lie and be hypocritical at a genetic level.
First, you need to try with a simple lie.
This is the same Nikolai Chules who so absurdly shied away from mobilization, hiding behind his father's surname.
Do you know that I am Mr. Peskov? How wrong is it for me to... Did you sit down?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll handle this, I'll deal with it at another level.
Having become a laughingstock, Kolya supposedly went off to war, where, anonymously and apparently out of excessive modesty, he served under Prigozhin's wing, the head of Wagner PMC.
This is the first time I'm saying this. Out of all my acquaintances, there's one person, Dmitry Sergeyevich Peskov, who at one time was known as a complete liberal, and his son, who spent part of his life in America, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or in England. He came and said, I'll take him as a regular artilleryman. By the way, he did his job absolutely fine. As a regular artilleryman, knee-deep in mud and filth during a hurricane. Very few people know about this.
Wonderful, amazing, absolutely brilliant, truly incredible, and fantastic.
By the way, when it comes to Nikolai's modesty, in this regard he's no worse than his father. The offspring of Putin's secretary has never officially worked anywhere. At the same time, he owns expensive real estate in the center of Moscow, as well as a fleet of luxury cars.
Nikolai himself drives a new Range Rover, patriotically tying a St. George ribbon to the mirror. Such a car costs about 9 million rubles.
And here we see a Ferrari in his collection. And here's a Mercedes, a motorcycle, and of course, a Harley Davidson. In
between parties at elite night, clubs, Peskov's child even managed to spend time in a British prison. In 2009, the son of the future presidential press secretary and great-grandson of Marshal Budyonny attacked a British teenager.
Well, you piece of trash, now I'm going to beat you up. Just not here, Kolya, not here. Let's go. Follow me. Go ahead.
This happened right outside the local McDonald's. All in the best Russian traditions. First, Peskov's son beat up the underage poor guy and took his money, and then tried to escape. In Moscow, he might have gotten away with it, but in London, even fools have to obey the law. The British police found and punished the perpetrator. But let's get back to our main Peskov. After swapping Budenaya for Solotsinskaya, Dima continued to climb the career ladder. The connections of his new flame's father helped the mustachioed opportunist land a job at the Russian embassy in Turkey.
You never truly loved me. You married me just for your career.
Fame didn't keep Kalima waiting long. In November '99, Peskov appeared on television for the first time. In front of millions of Russians, he flamboyantly flattered his boss, his future boss, Boris Yeltsin. This happened at the OSCE summit in Istanbul.
You are a great man, sire.
It was thanks to this visit by Yeltsin to Turkey that Peskov managed to make his way into the Kremlin. Dima quickly managed to win over the boss of all Russian propagandists, Alexei Gromov. An obsequious, unscrupulous, and fawning lackey, a real find for the Kremlin. After a brief period of serving Yeltsin, Dima was then passed on to Putin as an inheritance.
I will point it out, just to be clear. I did everything I could.
As he climbed the career ladder, Dima lost interest in his now less prestigious second wife, and Peskov began cheating on her more and more often. By that time, Ekaterina had given the mustachioed liar 3 children, a daughter, Elizaveta, and 2 sons, Mika and Danny. All these children from his second marriage would eventually become ideological enemies of Putin's regime. That is, they would become citizens of the hated France.
The culture of Paris, of Parisian life, is very different from that of Russia. Here, the laws regarding minorities are different. Here, Charlie Hebdo brings millions of people out onto the streets.
The eldest daughter, Elizaveta, openly admits that she likes those very European values that are deeply hated in Putin's Russia, and not just the democratic ones, but also the non-traditional ones.
So do you actually like this liberal spirit of France, or is it difficult for you? Honestly, it's not difficult for me at all. I really enjoy it. I absolutely love it. So you're in favor of the Charlie Hebdo demonstrations and same-sex marriage? Honestly, yes.
And once again, the genetic Peskov hypocrisy is plain to see. We love freedom, democracy, and liberalism. But we love the father's connections, which allow Liza to live a wealthy life even more. First, she was placed in the position of advisor to the president of the Avanti organization. All that Peskov's daughter was remembered for in that position was empty talk about PR for shipbuilding.
It's necessary to develop strategies, roughly speaking, for the PR of shipbuilding, ship production.
Liza really loves Paris. But even more, she loves the luxury and big money from her father, thanks to which she set up her life in France.
The apartment itself is located in one of the most expensive districts of Paris. It has an area of 180 square meters. There is an entrance hall, a living room, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a laundry room, and a balcony. It was purchased in September 2016. It is registered to the French legal entity Sirius, 75% of which belongs to Ekaterina Solotsinskaya Peskova and 25% to her daughter Liza Peskova. And
still, don't be too quick to label Peskova's daughter as a spoiled rich kid or a member of the Golden Youth. It would be better to feel sorry for poor Liza. After all, according to her father, she doesn't live. She merely survives in the harshest French, practically Spartan conditions.
She was never a spoiled rich kid. She had a very difficult life, a tough time studying. Not only in Russia, she also studied in France. And she always lived there in great poverty.
The millions of euros that Peskov spent on supporting the children of his wife, Ekaterina Solotsinskaya, became a sort of payoff for his infidelities and the collapse of yet another family. A government official who has never been involved in business bought up elite real estate and luxury cars in huge quantities.
Remember, gentlemen, this country will be ruined by corruption. In
2010, the future Kremlin family man starts a new romance. This time, it's with the figure skating champion Tatyana Navka. Family values? Never heard of them. At that time, not only Dmitry was married, but so was Tatyana.
I can't tell you absolutely everything, but I'll say this. We really did have families before, just so you know.
We have children from our previous marriages.
All these Russian values and traditional morals are just for the common folk. The Tsars and boyars aren't interested in these fairy tales. He would only officially divorce his former wife, Yekaterina Peskova, 2 years later. By the way, in that same 2012, the liar and sycophant finally reached his Olympus, the seat of press secretary to the Russian dictator.
The real stroke of luck in my life, of course, was becoming Putin's press secretary.
What a stroke of luck it was indeed. The position turned out to be very lucrative. See for yourself. Just a few years later, at the wedding of Putin's talking marionette, journalists noticed an exclusive Richard Mille Swiss watch on his wrist, worth about $620,000.
The state hires me, they pay me a salary, and I do my job.
Without even thinking, the mustachioed liar claimed that it was supposedly a gift from his new, already third wife. Where figure skater Navka got that kind of money, the common folk don't deserve to know such details.
God will judge them for their actions, but I know, without any doubt whatsoever, that I am being completely and totally honest. With myself, with my perhaps homeland, and in general.
Russians also don't deserve to know how Babkin, the press secretary, managed to have a honeymoon on the largest sailing yacht in the world.
People want to figure out what's going on.
That's natural?
It's legitimate.
By the way, here's some information for other Russian government officials. A week's rental on such a yacht will cost you about 25 million rubles. So, just like Liza Peskova, we've made our own contribution to the PR and development of shipbuilding.
Money is everything, brother. Money rules the world, and the one with more of it is stronger.
But anyway, let's just pretend we believe in the huge profits of a figure skater. But what exactly is the secret of her success? It's simple and mundane. Navka, just like her sycophant husband, knows how to really bend over backwards for those in power. How could anyone refuse to grant a state subsidy to a champion agitator?
Putin, as many people know, is a man of his word. If he says it, he does it.
For the sake of money, status, and Putin's affection, Navka gave up her homeland, her family, and her friends. A native of the city of Dnipro, who first gained fame in sports precisely in Ukraine. Tatyana lived in the United States for more than 15 years. But all of that faded in the athlete's greedy eyes before the enormous Kremlin profits. And now, the once celebrated figure skater has turned into a female version of a Putinist buffoon shaman.
It's very good that I'm Russian.
Congratulations to the rest of you on your administrative penalties. Hello, Russia, the country of Gagarin, Pushkin, and me.
If you believe the official declaration of the Peskov family, it turns out that Dima is just a kept man living off his wife. Tatyana earns dozens of times more than her government servant husband.
And who here isn't ashamed, huh? Zhenya isn't ashamed that he's been living off someone else for 8 years.
In addition to a watch collection worth as much as several luxury Moscow apartments, Peskov owns a modest mansion costing only about 1 billion rubles. Naturally, the house is registered in his wife's name. After all, Dima is an ascetic, just like his boss.
You go to the Maldives on vacation, and I'm the one providing for you. Not
everything! I bought the pumice stone for my heels in the bathroom myself.
Yes, Peskov is obliging, unscrupulous, cunning, and a deceitful sycophant and opportunist. But he has a rare gift. He actually enjoys it. And it's exactly these kinds of people that the bunker moth values most of all. After all, Putin is the same way himself, and it was precisely thanks to these qualities that he managed to claw his way onto the Russian throne.
When the president criticizes you, does it make you not want to live anymore? In what form does that happen? It makes you not want to live at all. Is it very harsh? It can be harsh, yes. And
still, one shouldn't underestimate Peskov. He's not just a glamorous scoundrel spewing Putin's thoughts. He's a full-fledged accomplice in his master's crimes. After all, more than anyone else, he contributed to the image that Russians have come to love. The tough guy, the macho, the regular guy.
My handsome one. Isn't he just adorable, huh? There you go, a little massage, all done, take care.
For what?
Malicious tongues say that it's Peskov who's behind those ridiculous videos of the bunker Tsar. With footage that turns a small, insecure, frail and bitter thug into a cruel and all-powerful leader of the nation.
But I like it.
Yeah. Peskov tries to hide behind the mask of a liberal. Sometimes he even pretends to be a Democrat and flirts with those persecuted by the authorities, the so-called foreign agents.
It turns out that at Yudashkin's funeral he approached, greeted Alla Borisovna Pugacheva and even kissed her hand. What an explosion of emotions there was among the Z patriots. Alla Pugacheva's husband Galkin is a foreign agent who criticizes the authorities, and Pugacheva herself criticizes them too.
But you can't hide it all in a sack. He is one of the main criminals of Putin's regime. A puppet whose unscrupulous and cynical lies justify any atrocities committed by his master. And so, both in life and on the defendant's bench, Peskov will sit at his master's feet.
I mean, for example, the masterfully and bloodthirstily staged provocation in Bucha near Kyiv. Obviously, Ukrainian specialists themselves could hardly have worked so professionally. They have an army of companies working for them too. PR firms, television people, information advisors, and specialists in information warfare. But in my lifetime, of course, it has never gone this far. And what I see now, I truly could never have imagined would ever happen in this world.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.